You go to bed feeling perfectly fine, without any hint that something might be wrong. But by the time morning comes, everything has changed. You open your eyes and try to move, only to find that one of your hands won't respond. Words form in your mind, but when you try to speak, they come out garbled and distorted. Even more terrifying, when you look at your spouse, the familiar face you've known for years suddenly feels strange, and you cannot remember their name. What happened? You suffered a silent stroke in your sleep, a stroke with no pain, no warning, and no chance to react. As a brain doctor, I have seen this scenario far too often, and no matter how many times I witness it, it never ceases to astonish me. People are shocked because they think strokes always come with dramatic, painful signs. But the truth is, there's an insidious kind that strikes silently, and one of the surprising triggers can be a snack you thought was healthy. It's not sugar, not smoking, not junk food. In fact, it's the same handful of nuts you've trusted for years, the ones you believe were nourishing your body. Under certain conditions, these very nuts can set the stage for disaster. Here's what makes it so dangerous. If you eat 5 common types of nuts at the wrong time, especially late in the evening, they can thicken your blood, raise your blood pressure, and set off a silent stroke while you're fast asleep. This isn't fear-mongering. It's a wake-up call. Many people carefully manage what they eat and drink during the day, only to overlook what happens at night. And yet, nighttime is when the danger peaks. More than 1 in every 4 strokes in people over 65 happens while they're sleeping. These strokes are completely silent. No discomfort, no pain, no chance to catch the symptoms early. You might feel completely fine when you drift off, unaware that beneath the surface, your body is changing. Blood pressure naturally rises during the night. It's part of your circadian rhythm. Your activity level drops, you're mildly dehydrated, and your blood becomes thicker. Meanwhile, your arteries, already weakened and stiff with age, struggle to handle the pressure. Imagine trying to pump thick syrup through old, cracked pipes. Sooner or later, something bursts or gets blocked. Even a minor rise in blood pressure can cause a clot to form or a vessel to rupture. By the time morning light filters through your window, the damage is already done. The food you eat in the hours before sleep can act like a hidden trigger. Nuts are widely praised as healthy, rich in good fats, minerals, and antioxidants. But context matters. As you age, your body's ability to process salt, fats, and minerals changes dramatically. What nourished you in your 40s can start harming you silently in your 60s and 70s. One type of nut in particular, Brazil nuts, illustrates this hidden danger. Brazil nuts are incredibly rich in selenium, a trace mineral your body only needs in very small amounts. For older adults, the recommended daily intake, according to the NIH, is just 55 micrograms. But a single Brazil nut can contain over 200 micrograms, nearly 4 times that amount. Now, picture eating 1 or 2 of these nuts right before bed, at a time when your body's metabolism has slowed down and its detox systems are less efficient. Unlike vitamin C, selenium doesn't simply dissolve in water and get flushed out. Your body holds onto the excess, storing it in your blood, liver, and even your brain. Over time, the extra selenium makes your platelets more sticky, increasing the risk of blood clots forming in your bloodstream. At night, when your blood is already thicker and your vessels are under pressure, this creates a perfect storm. Imagine traffic piling up on a busy highway. All it takes is one jam spot for everything to grind to a halt. In your body, that traffic jam is a clot that can block a critical artery. If even a small clot breaks free and travels to a delicate blood vessel in your brain, it can trigger a silent stroke while you're asleep, without any warning signs at all. The reality is unsettling. A food you once trusted can quietly turn against you as your body changes with age. Brazil nuts are not inherently bad, but their nutrient density means that timing and quantity matter more than ever. The same principles apply to other nuts that are rich in oils and minerals your body now processes differently. When the balance tips even slightly, the risk can rise dramatically. The truth is that many people go to bed unaware of this danger, believing that their evening snacks are harmless. Yet inside, subtle shifts are happening. Blood pressure rising, blood thickening, aging vessels struggling to cope. And when you add even a minor clotting trigger, the consequences can be life-altering. By the time you wake up, the harm may already have been done, leaving you with the frightening reality of a stroke that came without pain, without warning, and without a chance to defend yourself. According to the findings of a study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition in 2014, there's a clear correlation between excessive selenium intake and an increased risk of stroke, particularly in people who have kidney problems or high blood pressure. The issue becomes even more critical with age, when the body's ability to regulate minerals declines and the fine balance of electrolytes becomes more fragile. Now, here's a danger that many people overlook. A significant number of people already consume multivitamins that contain selenium, and on top of that, they regularly snack on Brazil nuts, believing them to be a healthy, nutrient-packed evening treat. This combination adds up to an additional risk stacked on top of the existing risk. Consuming Brazil nuts in the evening isn't the best choice for people over the age of 60, especially for those taking blood thinners or medications for hypertension. These nuts pose an unnoticed threat to mental health and vascular stability. The selenium content in Brazil nuts is extremely high. Even a couple nuts can push you close to or beyond the safe upper limit. Excess selenium can accumulate over time and interact negatively with certain medications, increasing the likelihood of a vascular event during sleep. When your body is least prepared to handle sudden changes in blood flow or pressure. The second item to consider is salted almonds, a snack that many believe is harmless but hides another subtle danger. This is what we call the sodium surge that occurs before sleep. Almonds on their own are a popular and nutritious snack, celebrated for being low in sugar and rich in magnesium and healthy fats. However, when they're roasted and salted, and especially when eaten late in the day, they transform into a quiet but persistent menace to your cardiovascular system. Just one modest handful, roughly 20 pieces, contains over 200 milligrams of sodium. That's more than 20% of the recommended daily sodium intake for older individuals, according to the American Heart Association. For those with high blood pressure or heart disease, the recommended daily limit drops to less than 1,500 milligrams, with an ideal target closer to 1,000 milligrams. Here's why this matters. Salty snacks make your body retain more water, which increases the volume of blood circulating through your system. Younger bodies can usually compensate for this temporary increase, but after the age of 60, when arteries become stiffer and kidney function declines, this volume surge can trigger severe spikes in blood pressure. These spikes often happen between 3 and 5 in the morning, the most vulnerable window for the brain. What makes it even more concerning is that there are usually no symptoms. Even if you're sleeping peacefully, your brain's blood vessels may already be under stress, bleeding slightly or even forming clots. Salted almonds are also surprisingly addictive. One handful often turns into 2, quickly pushing your sodium intake above 500 milligrams without you even realizing it. This late-night salt load acts like a circulatory time bomb for anyone taking medications for high blood pressure or struggling with fluid retention and swelling in their legs. Salt, while adding flavor, can also overstimulate your bloodstream precisely when your brain needs calm and rest to repair itself. The better choice? Eat plain raw almonds, ideally soaked in water earlier in the day, to support hydration and maintain mineral balance. Next, let's talk about cashews, specifically the hidden oxalate burden they carry. Cashews appear harmless, simple, creamy, comforting, and often touted as heart-healthy. Yet beneath that smooth texture lies a significant concentration of oxalates, natural compounds found in many plant foods. For younger bodies with efficient kidney function, oxalates are usually not a problem. But after 60, when the kidneys filter less effectively and blood vessels regenerate more slowly, oxalates become a silent hazard. Once ingested, they combine with calcium in your body to form tiny crystals. Think of them as microscopic grains of sand, silently embedding themselves in the walls of your blood vessels and kidneys, irritating and inflaming tissues as they accumulate. Over time, this contributes to artery stiffening, thicker blood, and slower circulation, all factors that raise the likelihood of clot formation during sleep, a time when blood flow naturally decreases. For individuals already dealing with kidney issues, dehydration, or medications that affect calcium metabolism, cashews can heighten the risk even more. A small handful of cashews before bed might seem harmless, yet it can subtly tip your body's chemistry toward a greater risk of stroke. The recommended approach is moderation. Consume cashews in small amounts, paired with plenty of water, earlier in the day. Consider alternatives with lower oxalate content, such as pumpkin seeds or macadamia nuts. As we age, the snacks that once brought comfort to the tongue can quietly become burdens for the brain during the vulnerable hours of rest. Lastly, let's turn to sunflower seeds, a snack that appears completely harmless at first glance. Their small size and crunchy texture make them seem like an innocent evening nibble. However, the risk they pose lies not in obvious, immediate effects, but in the gradual, silent strain they can place on your blood vessels and brain during sleep. Like other seeds and nuts, sunflower seeds are nutrient-dense, but when consumed at the wrong time or in excess, they can contribute to hidden imbalances that heighten the risk of invisible hemorrhages. This risk is particularly concerning because there are rarely any warning signs. You might fall asleep feeling perfectly fine, never realizing that subtle processes are unfolding inside your body that could have serious consequences over time. The key takeaway is this: late-night snacking, especially on certain nuts and seeds, can set off silent changes in your bloodstream that become far more dangerous with age. Choices that once seemed harmless may, over time, contribute to a hidden cascade of risks that quietly build while you sleep. By being aware of these overlooked dangers and making mindful adjustments, such as moderating intake, avoiding heavy evening snacks, and choosing alternatives that better support nighttime rest, you can help protect your brain and circulation during your most vulnerable hours. They are tiny, sticky, and even nutritious. Yet, for individuals who have crossed the age of 60, these seemingly harmless snacks can hide a troubling trio of concerns: excessive omega-6 fats, a load of sodium, and the silent danger of mindless snacking. At first glance, they seem innocent. Tiny seeds that deliver energy, taste, and a satisfying crunch. But here's the issue. These seeds are often heavily salted. In fact, a single small handful can outmatch a full-size bag of potato chips in sodium content. Because of their addictive nature and small size, it's alarmingly easy to lose track and eat 3 or 4 servings in one sitting, especially when you're relaxed, watching television, or chatting with friends. Before you know it, what was meant to be a light snack has turned into a sodium overload. The second hidden issue lies in their fatty acid composition. Sunflower seeds are naturally rich in omega-6 fatty acids. Now, omega-6 aren't inherently bad. Your body does need them for normal cell function. However, the average modern diet already supplies far too many omega-6 compared to omega-3s, throwing the balance off. This imbalance fuels low-grade inflammation throughout the body. As blood vessels age and become more delicate, this chronic inflammation can irritate their already fragile walls, setting the stage for vascular problems over time. Imagine adding constant friction to an old, worn-out pipe. The irritation slowly wears it down, increasing the risk of leaks and breaks. A third problem is the method by which most of these seeds are prepared. The majority are roasted in inexpensive industrial-grade oils, which undergo chemical changes at high temperatures. These changes heighten oxidative stress in the body, introducing harmful compounds that further aggravate the delicate lining of your arteries. The danger is magnified at night, a time when blood pressure tends to fluctuate and arteries, already stiffened with age, are more vulnerable. To grasp the seriousness of this, think of the tiniest blood vessels in your brain, the capillaries, as fragile glass tubes. When they're inflamed and under pressure, even the smallest spike can cause one to rupture. The result? Silent microbleeds, tiny leaks that don't hurt and often go completely unnoticed. But over time, they chip away at your cognitive functions, subtly impairing memory, balance, and even speech. Even foods we consider healthy, like sunflower seeds, can quietly pose a risk when consumed at the wrong time, especially if you already struggle with high blood pressure or have a history of brain bleeds. A safer alternative? Pumpkin seeds that haven't been salted, or chia seeds that have been soaked in water. Consuming them earlier in the day minimizes risk. Sometimes, the smallest seeds leave the deepest scars. Walnuts are another example of a nutritious food that needs careful timing. Often celebrated as true brain food, Walnuts boast a powerful combination of omega-3 fatty acids, antioxidants, and anti-inflammatory compounds. Together, these elements protect against cognitive decline, bolster memory, and promote overall brain health. But after a certain age, when you eat them becomes just as important as if you eat them. A handful of walnuts in the morning can sharpen focus and support heart health. However, eating them late in the evening may have unintended consequences that subtly undermine your brain's nightly repair process. Here's why. Fats take longer to digest compared to carbohydrates or proteins. When you eat walnuts in the evening, your body diverts a significant portion of blood flow to your digestive system, pulling it away from the brain just when the brain is gearing up for its nightly restoration. On top of that, fat digestion stimulates the release of cortisol, the body's stress hormone. Elevated cortisol levels disrupt deep restorative sleep, which is crucial for consolidating memories and stabilizing nighttime blood pressure. As we age, these two functions, memory consolidation and blood pressure regulation, become increasingly fragile. Poor sleep doesn't just make you feel tired. It's linked to a heightened risk of stroke, accelerated cognitive decline, and even a weakened immune system. Think of walnuts as courteous but demanding house guests. They bring gifts, essential fatty acids and antioxidants, but require significant attention and resources. Entertaining them late at night means your brain must share its energy and blood supply at a time when it needs them most for repair and rejuvenation. The solution is simple. Enjoy walnuts earlier in the day, ideally in the morning or early afternoon, when your digestive system is primed and your brain can fully benefit from their nutritional bounty. The wrong food at the wrong time can quietly turn into wrong food altogether. At this point, you might be wondering why the body becomes particularly susceptible to strokes and other vascular issues at night. To understand this, we need to look closely at the subtle changes that occur in our circulatory system as we age. 3 major systems undergo shifts that often go unnoticed in day-to-day life. The first is the predictability of blood pressure. In youth, nighttime blood pressure follows a steady, reliable pattern. It drops during sleep, giving the cardiovascular system time to rest, and then rises smoothly upon waking. As we age, this pattern becomes less consistent. Blood pressure may fluctuate unpredictably during the night, placing added stress on already stiffened arteries and delicate capillaries. Even a minor spike under these conditions can result in micro-tears or bleeds that set the stage for long-term damage. These invisible nightly changes help explain why timing matters so much for something as simple as a snack. Foods that challenge the cardiovascular system or disrupt restorative sleep, even those considered healthy, can become quiet saboteurs. By adjusting not just what we eat, but when we eat it, we can support the body's natural rhythms and give the brain and blood vessels their best chance at staying resilient. After the age of 60, the natural rhythm of our body begins to falter. Between 3 and 5 in the morning, many people experience nocturnal surges, sudden, unpredictable spikes in blood pressure. These surges can rupture weakened arteries, especially if those arteries have been irritated or narrowed over the years by inactivity, poor diet, or chronic stress. At night, blood thickens and slows down. It's not just water. It's a living river of minerals, proteins, lipids, and cells. During sleep, particularly after dinner, this river becomes denser and more viscous. Why? Because we move less, drink less, and our kidneys filter less during sleep. Even mild dehydration makes blood thicker. Eating foods rich in fat, salt, or oxalates further slows blood flow, making it sticky and more prone to clotting. Over time, arteries lose flexibility. Like old garden hoses left in the sun, they become rigid and less forgiving. In youth, blood vessels expand and contract smoothly with each heartbeat. By the 60s, that elasticity fades. A sudden rise in pressure, like after eating salty or fatty snacks at night, can rupture plaques or cause tiny tears, leading to clots or even hemorrhages. Imagine trying to force honey through a brittle, rigid straw while asleep, unaware that your brain relies on every drop of oxygen to repair itself. This is why nighttime can be particularly dangerous. Your brain depends on a steady flow of blood to clear toxins, consolidate memories, and heal cell damage. When blood thickens, arteries stiffen, and pressure swings wildly, the risk of disaster rises. What's often overlooked is that not all strokes are dramatic. Many are silent. They accumulate over time, one tiny clot, one pressure surge, one forgotten moment at a time, until the damage finally becomes visible in your face, speech, or balance. This is why your health depends not only on what you eat, but also when you eat and the condition of your body at that moment. The good news? You don't need to avoid nuts or live in fear of every snack. The goal isn't restriction but realignment, eating in a way that supports your body rather than harms it. Timing is key. For proper digestion, steady blood flow, and full body awareness, enjoy nuts in the morning or early afternoon, when your system is most prepared to process them. At this point, your body is in the ideal position to absorb nutrients, metabolize fats, and maintain pressure equilibrium without any unnecessary strain. This is a state in which your system functions most smoothly, working to break down food, extract what is useful, and keep everything in balance. Snacking late at night should be avoided, especially within 2 to 3 hours of going to bed. Even if what you eat is considered healthy, when it is consumed too close to bedtime, it has a potential to disrupt the natural process your body undergoes during sleep. One of the critical nightly functions is cleaning out your brain, clearing waste that builds up during the day. Late-night snacking, even on nutritious options, can interfere with this process, leaving you feeling sluggish and not as mentally refreshed. For nuts, the best choices are raw or dry roasted options with no added salt or oils. These are the kinds of nuts that offer nutrition in its purest form, providing healthy fats, protein, and essential minerals without unnecessary additives. Pre-packaged nut mixes labeled as smoked, salted, or honey roasted are best avoided. Such products frequently contain excessive amounts of salt and inflammatory fats, which can lead to bloating and put unnecessary pressure on your system. Choosing the simplest form of nuts ensures that your body receives what it needs without anything harmful tagging along. One of the most forgotten yet essential habits is maintaining proper hydration. Drinking enough water throughout the afternoon and early evening is crucial. Many people, especially as they get older, tend to cut back on fluids in an effort to avoid waking up during the night to use the bathroom. While understandable, this can have unintended consequences. Insufficient hydration can lead to thicker blood, which in turn increases the risk of complications like stroke while sleeping. A balanced hydration plan, one that provides your body with steady water intake, without overdoing it right before bed, can make the difference between supporting your health and placing unnecessary pressure on your system. Your food should work with your brain, not against it. Eating at the right time, in the right amounts, and in a way that matches your body's current capacity is key. It's not just about what you eat. Timing and portion size matter just as much. As we age, our bodies change. Your arteries no longer have the same elasticity they did decades ago. This affects blood flow, and with it, your overall recovery speed and brain function. Because of these changes, even a small misstep, like eating the wrong type of nuts at the wrong time, can have effects that are much more significant than you might expect. The path to healthy and happy aging lies in maintaining mental clarity, vitality, and peace of mind. The foods you choose, and when and how you consume them, play a vital role in this. Nuts are still good for you, as you've heard for years, but by the time you're over 60, it's not just about the food itself anymore. What truly matters is when you eat, how much you eat, and what your body can realistically handle at this stage. The same meal that was fine when you were May 30th not suit your body's current needs. Understanding and respecting these changes is essential. If you've learned something valuable here today, don't keep it to yourself. Share this with someone who regularly snacks close to bedtime. Help them protect their brain and overall well-being while there's still time to make a difference. If you're watching this right now, I want to know you're with me. Type 1 in the comments if this resonates with you, and 0 if you're curious to learn more. And if this video helped you, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe.